Thank you for the wonderful comments over the last couple of days. So let's share our next idea. The simplified aerial view of this idea is as following. That in life, either we are relating to our lower levels, goals and values, or we're relating to our higher level goals and values. So what we suggested is that all human beings are made up of the same sorts of things. We have what we call a Nefesh, the lower self, which is our memories, which is to do with our physical sensations, emotions, and thinking. And as we said, we're relating to our memories in the present moment. And in this world of the lower self, the animal self, there's preservation. We want to make sure we eat and drink. We want to make sure that we have shelter. We want to make sure that we are seen and heard, that we're safe, that we're satisfied. We relate to the world through our lower self, through our memories and experiences that we've had in the past. And we call that our momentary expectations and assumptions, a guiding system in how to relate and react to the given moment experience. And what we can claim is that the lower self and the goals are short-term goals, immediate responses, immediate gratification. That's the world of the lower self. But then, as we mentioned, we have consciousness, the part of us that can be aware of this. We could be aware of our thinking in the present moment. We can be aware of our emotions in the present moment. We could be aware of our physical sensations in the present moment. And ultimately, we can choose, do I want to relate to this situation like this or like that? But then we have our soul. And our soul is long-term goals. Our soul is our higher values, the greater things that we believe in for the human species, for the world, the spiritual dimension of self. It's all the better parts of self. And what's happening in life is either we are relating to the soul or we are relating to the lower self, the Nefesh. And we can add another dimension to the lower self, ego. So either I'm relating to ego or I'm relating to my higher values and goals. And it's the tension within each of us, the tension point within each of us that we find difficult. If, for example, our lower self is really running the show, then the higher self is less heard. And say, for example, I wish I could be more consistent, or I wish I could exercise, or I wish I could learn better, or I wish I could do that, or I wish I could do that. So what starts to happen is I feel less happy, wonderful, and wondrous feelings. Because there's this tension within me. I want to do this and this and this, but my nefesh is taken over and not letting me. It's more short-term goals and living by short-term values than higher goals and values. Again, what we suggested is that when speaking about the lower self and the soul, the lower self will not sacrifice for higher values and beliefs unless the soul is in relationship with it. And that's what we have suggested consciousness on one level does. Consciousness das is the negotiator between the higher self and the lower self. And all human beings live with these two realities. Am I in this moment living from my higher self, or am I in this moment not? So for example, what happens if a person's having a bad day? Does a person live through their lower self and they bite off the head of a loved one? They get annoyed, frustrated, and it's actualized? Or do they live by their higher values and goals? And maybe they'll do the work where they can dissipate that tension, or they can share with the other person, oh, right now I'm in a funny mood. Please, just don't take me seriously if I do something. Where are we living from? Say, for example, you can imagine this: a person has an accident. They come out the car and the person behind them is like, oh, why did you do that? Da, 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 and they start attacking. That's living from the lower self. But the person who came out the car, he's living from his high self, and he will say, 1 minute, stop. Are you okay? Before we have this conversation, are you okay? You are a human being. You are my brother, my sister. We're all human beings, part of the human species living on this world. Are you okay? When a person, for example, is in a situation of sadness, or when they have to correct something, have to correct a behavior, do they blame? Oh, it's not me, it's that, the other, da, 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 da. Or do they allow their soul to shine through? And do they say, no, I own this, you're right, I do need to change this? Or, for example, if somebody is being bullied, the lower self, they become a victim. But the higher self could and should turn and say, this is not healthy, this is not good, move away from this, bring other people in, get involved. So there's this tension that we live with as human beings. Am I living from my lower self, or am I living from my higher self? Do I choose to give into instant gratification of the food I eat, or sitting and, I don't know, watching something when I could exercise, or I should exercise? Do I give in to instant gratification of not following my routines because something has come my way? Is there a relationship between the soul, which can be cultivated by really working on my higher values and beliefs, and then journaling, writing it down, accountability, celebration, because we have to support the lower self, celebrating. We have to support the lower self. The higher self can have compassion on the lower self. You want a break? Okay, let's go get some ice cream. But you have to listen to me, lower self. There needs to be rules in our engagement of life. But all human beings are functioning this way. All human beings, we all have our higher values and goals and the things that we want from a high dimensional perspective. We all want things, hopefully, for humanity, for this world. But then we have the lower self, and we have to train the lower self. We need there to be a relationship. As the Vilna Gaon writes, the Seichel should be manhig, the lower self, because ultimately it's the lower self that's expressed in the world. And we can constantly upgrade through what we call Tikkun Hamidos, our lower self. We can constantly upgrade our memories. We can constantly give ourselves good, healthy experiences within the body, good, healthy emotional experiences. We can always give ourselves and upgrade our thinking with good thinking, with mantras. I love me, Hashem loves me, I'm good, whatever it may be. I'm never locked in. I'm always free. Whatever those mantras may be, emotionalizing those mantras, and even physicalizing those mantras. Exercising, and as you exercise, put a big smile on your face. We can upgrade the lower self through the guidance of the higher self, choosing good, healthy beliefs and values to live by. And then reprogramming, and reprogramming again of the lower self. And the goal is, as we live life, we can choose and allow the soul to guide us, to mix with good people, to have good, nutritious conversations. We can allow the soul to guide us, to have a good daily routine, to have good, healthy physiological and emotional engagements in that which we do. We can allow the higher self to shine down good, healthy belief systems and values, and grow the lower self into the most unbelievable machine to give us the most wonderful and extraordinary life. And all of us are doing this. The question is, on what quality? On what quality? What do I mean by all of us? We're trying to do this. Not all human beings, unfortunately, are trying to do this because they don't know about it. But what we want is, we want the soul, the Neshama, to guide with compassion, with discipline, unconditional love, yet conditions on the behavior, to live a fantastic life, that the soul should guide the body and the Nefesh, and the Nefesh and the body should listen to the wonderful, loving wisdom of the soul. But all of us are doing this. This is how human beings work. So think about that, reflect on that, and allow our consciousness to negotiate in a healthy way, to broker fantastic deals for us. Okay, think about that. Bracha, mazel, and hatzlacha.